everyone. Thank you for coming to back to school night for French 2. My name is Enes Benjeloun. As you can see on your screen, I am the French teacher at Burbank High School, and I have been teaching there since 2007. I have included here, as you can see on your screen, my two emails. I have a Gmail account, and also I have a Burbank USD account. You can email me on either one to ask questions or raise any concerns you might have. Today, I'm going to cover a few things regarding your son or daughter's experience in my class. I'm going to be covering specifically our Google Classroom, our grading system, our participation system. I'm going to be talking about Friday specifically for students that need help, and I'm also going to go over what we do in a Zoom and our daily agenda. So let's go ahead and get started and show you what I'm looking at every day when I meet your students. So obviously you're here because your student is either in French 2 period 2 or French 2 period 1. They're the same. I'm going to click on either one. As you can see here, we have a stream. Now, I don't like to crowd my stream with any unnecessary information. It's usually just our Zoom link that students can click. It's the same one for the rest of the year. The only thing I change weekly, about once a week on Thursday night, is the link for our office hour, and I'll talk more about that. Students mostly go to this tab right here in that says classwork. When they click on it, they see a bunch of different tabs. As you can see here, participation, individual work, their notes, their vocab, and also important information. Most students on a regular basis go to this one. It's obviously in French. What it means is their independent work. As you can see here, there are so many assignments that we've covered so far in the first 3 weeks. There's also notes, vocab, as I said, and important information. Let me talk a little bit about this tab right here, the important information section of their Google Classroom. I mentioned earlier the Friday office hour. I know so many parents are confused about what to do on Friday. What I usually like to do, since participation is very important in my class, is that I allow students to come in, ask questions, make up work, make up participation points. All those things are allowed. As you can see here, I've created a specific schedule for our class because, as you know, I share students with multiple teachers. So this just gives them a sense of comfort knowing that, okay, on the 11th of September, he's going to have his office hour open from 10, 11, etc. So this is for the rest of the semester. Students can refer to it. And as I said earlier, on Thursday night, I remind them of the time, and I also post the link for the office hour. Another thing I want to talk about regarding this piece, the important information, is the guidelines that were signed by parents and students at the beginning of the year. So the guidelines that we both sign, myself and you and your students, refer to what I'm looking at in terms of engagement in the class. So this is our actual grading policy right here. As you can see, 35% of their grade is their individual participation and engagement in the classroom. 35% is their speaking tests. We haven't done any yet. We will be doing some in the coming weeks. And we also have our homework, which is the completed and timely assignments that they do on Google Classroom. And then finally, we have 10% for the final assessment. Now, as you notice here, the individual participation is just as important as the speaking test. My philosophy is that I know some students are nervous to take tests, especially speaking tests, so I made my regular participation just as much as the actual test. So if students don't do well on a test, they can actually make up those points in participation. And that's why, as I mentioned earlier, Friday It's very important for students that I don't get a chance to speak in class, and they can come in and make up that participation. That way, when I enter that grade, I look at my notes and I see that so and so came in Fridays on a regular basis or participated every single time on a Zoom uh, session, and that way I can take that into account, and those students can get the most out of that percentage. Most students get all points, all 35%, whatever the point average is, because they tend to participate all the time. So this is something you would want your child to do on a regular basis. Even if they're shy, they can still come in on Friday and make up that participation. As I mentioned earlier, we meet on a Zoom platform, as you can see here, French 2 period 1 or French 2 period 2. We meet for about an 80-minute block. What I usually do is that I teach and students participate for about 50 minutes. And then the next 30 minutes, as I can show you right here from a sample agenda, the next 30 minutes is usually for questions and individual work. Students have the option to stay and do the work while I'm supervising them, or they can leave and do it on their own. And so far, It's worked really well because students get their questions answered and then they leave and finish on their own. Or some students choose to stay until the 80-minute mark because they need more help with their assignments. I make my assignments due the same day at 3 o'clock. As you know, students are done with school around 12:25, and that gives them plenty of time. And I actually stay available. I remain available to students if they need help, even after 12:30 when their last class is over. So this is, in general, a overview of your child's French 2 class. As I mentioned earlier, if you have any questions, please email me. We will also be posting a questionnaire in a Google form where you can leave your information, your email, those sorts of things if you want us to gather that information and contact you. Otherwise, you're more than welcome to email me and I can answer all the questions you have. Thank you for coming. Good night.